begin this bulletin in Embu, where the missing Embu County Assembly Speaker Kariuki Mate was this morning found alive in Limuru.
He was later rushed to hospital in Nairobi, where he is receiving treatment. Police say he was brought to the Gigiri police station at midnight, ending the week of anxiety since his disappearance was reported.
It has been a long week for Embu County Assembly Speaker Kariuki Mate, who went missing at the beginning of the week. A week that now ends with him in hospital, where he reunited with his family and his colleagues. Mate went missing on Monday from a Nairobi hotel.
Now, let me ask you.
A car picked him up and sped off. After a week of frantic searching, he was found in Limuru near St. Paul's University early Friday morning.
He was helped out by some small truck carrying cabbages. He had tried to stop more than 40 vehicles. No vehicle was stopping. I would like to thank the two young people who decided to stop, and they carried him, and he requested them. He said, "Take me to any police station." Let them stay there.
The driver and his companion took Mate to the Gigiri police station. He was later taken to the Aga Khan hospital for medical attention.
The time he was brought to the hospital, he was completely ice cold. Actually, they had to do a lot of procedures to get him back to normal.
What transpired between his disappearance and his discovery on Friday morning, only the speaker can tell, and he would choose not to speak just yet. Embu County has been at the center of various political intrigues. The county assembly has twice moved to impeach the governor. Leaders from the county are now calling on police to get to the heart of the speaker's disappearance.
Embu has gone through a very challenging moment since late December, up until now. We pray that this incident may be the one that brings us back together, may be the one that would finally settle the challenges we are facing as a county.
A police officer has since been charged with the abduction of the speaker. Wilkiston Nyabwa, KTN.
5 suspects were killed this morning in what police say was a botched robbery attempt at Nairobi's Kilimani area. Now, they are said to have raided Top Plaza office suites along the Kindaruma Road. The suspects, who are at least 8 in number, had allegedly attacked the office suites and at around 2 in the morning before the alarm was raised by one of the guards. A shootout ensued between the suspect and the police and lasted for close to an hour. 3 suspects managed to escape. Now, they took away several computers and an unknown amount of money from the premises. Police recovered firearms and crude weapons from the fallen suspects.
People who are trying to rob us, who wanted to steal the computers and laptops. That's what I believe, because one of the laptops we found on the gate.
Tulipata dispatch kuja hapa mwendo wa kuelekea saa 9 hivi usiku. Asubuhi tulipofika pale kwa gate, nilimuona askari kando kidogo na gate, vile kawaida huwa anakuja, na tukamuuliza, askari, iko shida? Mmefinya alarm? Askari akatuambia hajafinya alarm, lakini akatoa ishara kwa macho, kublink kwa macho. Nikafikiria, nikaona ni kama iko shida kulingana vile alikuwa akiblink.
From security issues, we move to the continuing Anglo leasing story, where the Law Society of Kenya has warned that paying 1.4 billion shillings to Anglo leasing firms on Monday was bound to open the floodgates and make it impossible for Kenya to avoid paying any future demands from Anglo leasing companies. Now, the East African Law Society Vice President James Mwamu and the LSK CEO Apollo Mboya have also said that if the Attorney General, Professor Githu Muigai, does not adequately show reasons why he should not be dishonored by the LSK, then no other world organization would respect or deal with him again.
You know, once we have passed, giving a certificate of dishonor is like passing a vote of no confidence in it. Ordinarily, in civilized societies, the AG should actually resign. But you know, the prerogative of sacking the AG or asking the AG to move or to step aside basically belongs to the president under the current constitution.
Affidavits that were filed in court, that if you give these guys an arm, they will go for, if you give them a hand, they'll go for the arm. And that's exactly what has happened. They gave 1.4 billion. Now the whole republic knows there is now a 3.4 billion. And there could be more, because these contracts were 17 in number. Here we are talking about 3 contracts already, and which is being tied to the issuance of Eurobond. We knew all along that if there is payment that is being made on any of them, it will open the floodgates for other claimants to come in.
Still on Anglo Leasing, Transparency International Kenya wants the State Law Office to stop officials interdicted for complacency in the Anglo Leasing scandal. TI says both the current leadership and the former regime are culpable for failing to defend the country against payment of Anglo Leasing billions to the institution. Now, the institution now urges for a public inquiry into the shadowy deals and auditing of Kenya's defense and those culpable compelled to pay the billions the country has spent in payment for the 18 security contracts.
Our institutions in this matter have either been incompetent in dealing with the matter, or they have deliberately delivered us where we are. So it is the matter that we need to put to rest. And if the latter is the case, we need to hold people to account. If the former is the case, that people are incompetent, then we need to get rid of them and get people who are competent to deal with the matters. On this one, we think that the State Law Office must take responsibility. They cannot shift responsibility to anybody else. And when I am talking about the State Law Office, I am talking about the State Law Office today and the State Law Office that has dealt with this matter, because there have been different people who have been dealing with this matter. We have the current Attorney General, we have the former Attorney General, who at some point was also the Director of Public Prosecutions. So we are dealing with the entire State Law Office as currently constituted and formally constituted.
Kenya will be joining the rest of Africa in celebrating the African Liberation Day, and that's going to be happening on Sunday. African countries will be marking 51 years of the hard-earned freedom from European colonial powers. Under the theme Pan-Africanism, we must dare to invent the future, speakers from across the continent are expected in Nairobi to forge a way forward in unifying countries undergoing threats of terror and civil conflict.
In this year, we now look at what the future of Pan-Africanism is. We will be having a big event at the KICC for ALD, and it's to look at where Pan-Africanism has come from and what the future should be. Where are we today, and how can Pan-Africanism be realized? We have realized lots of problems in unifying Africa from the offset in 1963 when it was formed. We must look at what has been our problems and how do we move forward, as much as we know that it's inevitable that Africa unites to free herself. People remain the poorest. It's only through unification of Africa, doing away with the borders which were created by the imperialists in the 1880 Berlin Conference. And if we are able to unify, then we can be able to use the resources, African resources, to benefit our people.
Right, we see each year as an opportunity to improve our quality of services at the Standard Group.
And the Standard Group's radio station, we're talking about Radio Maisha, this morning celebrated 4 years. Can you imagine? It's already been 4 years since it started broadcasting in May 2010.
Here right now is KTN's Habiba Ali with that celebration.
Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us.
The Standard Group family gathered to celebrate 4 years of Radio Maisha's thrilling and informative presence on the Kenyan airwaves. Speaking during the celebrations, the head of radio, Tom Japani, said that Radio Maisha has witnessed momentous growth in the last 1 year.
We've actually moved from 6% to 20% of the market share. And so that is phenomenal growth for Radio Maisha.
Last year alone, Radio Maisha rose from position 25 to position 8 nationally.
Hiki ni kionjo tu, na mwaka wa 2014 ni mwaka ambao wenzetu ambao ni wale wengine katika redio zingine wanapaswa kukaa chonjo sana.
Within the next 1 month, Radio Maisha is expected to reach 3 more counties, areas among them Taita Taveta. We wish Radio Maisha a happy birthday as they continue to educate, inform and entertain its listeners. Habiba Ali, KTN.
And just in case you've never tuned into Radio Maisha, the frequency
102.7
or 102.7 FM. Let's now shift gears to Nakuru, where the County Commissioner Mohamed Birik has moved to stamp his authority after the directive by President Uhuru Kenyatta for them to take charge.
Now, he has sounded a warning to non-performing chiefs and assistant chiefs in the area, saying they risk being fired. Addressing a meeting of chiefs and deputy county commissioners, Birik directed the officers to stamp out illicit brew consumption in their jurisdiction and be proactive in the fight against crime.
President Kenyatta gave the 47 county commissioners more powers to oversee security, alcohol regulation and roads management functions in their areas.
Asanteni sana.
Madam was here. The fact that we have got these 67,000 hectares of gazetted forest doesn't mean that we have got the 10%. That is a natural forest resource. So specifically, we should be looking at what we have, especially on our farms.
That Kenya is well on its way to achieving the 10% tree cover that we are required to achieve by our constitution from the current close to 7% tree cover in our country. And we believe that the catalyst in this process has to be commercial tree growing. This desirable trend in supporting wealth creation at local levels, which in turn play an invaluable role in the growth.
A dormitory in Gaturi Girls Secondary School in Murang'a County caught fire early morning, leaving school and student property destroyed. The fire, which started at about 5:30 a.m. when the students were in class for their morning preps, razed down their beddings and other personal belongings. Now, the 100 girls who were affected were provided with blankets, bed sheets, mattresses, toothbrush, etc., so that their studies are not interfered with.
So there was drama in Tulele area, and that's in Narok, because villagers killed a 3-meter long python.
Now, the villagers had reported to the Kenya Wildlife Services that they had seen the python crossing the road at the Pinyinyi, or rather Pinyinyi Hills, a spot where many road accidents have occurred.
Residents decided to take matters into their own hands when the KWS officers failed to turn up. So what they did was corner the snake when they found it dangling from the branches of a tree across the road.
Now, the residents associated the serpent with numerous accidents that have happened in the area, which they claim to be demonic. According to Kazaroho Torome, a local conservationist, snakes are quite common in the area, which is a wildlife migration corridor. Attempts to stop the residents from killing the snake were futile.
Mnyama amevuka barabara hapa, na alipokuwa akivuka barabara wale ambao walipita barabara waliweza kuipata na wakaweza kuizuia kupiga.
Kama hii nyoka sasa itakuwa hatari kwa mifugo zetu, kwa sababu ikitapakaa wende ikawa manyumba siko karibu ama kwa maboma, itaweza kula mbuzi ama watoto pia itaweza kula. Kwa hivyo hata sisi tunaona ni hatari sasa tukihifadhi mnyama kama huu.
It's an awful lot of snake.
Yeah, I've got the heebie-jeebies, serious heebie-jeebies from looking at that snake. But, you know, the Standard Group Limited has this morning held its 69th annual general meeting.
During the stakeholders meeting, Group Chief Executive Sam Sholei noted that the company had made significant progress in its operations over the last 1 year.
According to Sholei, the firm has also put in place firm measures to ensure it continues with its growth trends, among them automation of its print editorial operations, relaunching of the Radio Maisha, as well as programming for its broadcasting wing, KTN.
Going forward, the CEO also intimated that creating new partnerships that will see KTN become a leading broadcaster in the East African region.
Environment of free media in our country, in broadcasters. I think you will have been reading in the papers and watching on TV. The three media houses, namely the Standard...
Confirm the appointment of Mr. Zambuni, who was appointed during the year and therefore has to be reappointed at this AGM.
We continue to increase our collaborations with other media houses, especially in the region, and we recently signed a MOU with a television station in Uganda that allows us to collaborate in content extension within the East African market. We hope to do the same in Tanzania in the coming months, and hopefully also into Rwanda.
So we take a short commercial break. I'm still thinking about that snake.
There's a lot of snake, though. My view, I think the forest people, the KWS, should have rescued it.
And then what with it?
It's wild animal. It's just no different from lions and zebras.
Okay, as I get over that, we take a short commercial break. When we come back, we have more news from Thailand and, of course, the escalation of deadly bombings by Boko Haram in Nigeria. All these details and more coming your way shortly.
Also, we have fantastic news. Sky Aero is set to, I almost said set foot, but to fly on our skies. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is KTN Newsdesk. Let's talk business now. And Rift Valley Railways has launched an innovative steel transportation system that will enable it to ferry 1,000 tons of steel in one trip. Each is the equivalent of just about 50 lorry loads. The innovation is also expected to ease congestion along the Mombasa-Malaba highway with reduced road transport.
A Rift Valley Railways locomotive leaves the APM terminal in Changamwe, Mombasa, destined for Uganda. This is a trip it has made several times before, but this time round there is some special cargo on board. Through a collaborative venture with Roofing's Rolling Mills, RVR has developed specially adapted wagons which can secure large steel coils, a first in the region.
Each train load, on average, ferries the equivalent of 50 lorries. 50 lorries. These work out to the equivalent of 400 truck trips taken off our roads each month.
In the past, it would have taken 40 long-haul trucks to transport the close to 1,000 tons of steel coils from Mombasa to Uganda.
The big difference is for two things. One is obviously the effect that it has on the road surface, and secondly, for the steel manufacturer, he can use a larger coil, which is more efficient in his operations. This coil, for instance, is a 20-ton coil. It's the heaviest coil that's transported in this region at the moment. Traditionally, the coils that are moved by road are 13 or 14 tons each, so they can be accommodated on road transport.
For RVR, this is part of an ongoing diversification strategy aimed at getting new clients to use the railway system. In its strategic plan, the rail operator is targeting bulk cargo movers in Kenya and Uganda and has already signed deals with a number of multinational organizations.
We have seen an increase in the amount of steel being transported across the region to supply the booming construction industry.
So currently our capacity is to produce close to 250,000 tons of steel per annum. That's equivalent to just over 20,000 tons per month.
So this development is timely and we are confident it will be welcomed by the market.
RVR intends to double its cargo handling capacity within a year. To boost capacity, RVR is set to take stock of 20 General Electric locomotives within the year, along with 1,500 additional wagons. The carrier currently ferries about 1.7 million tons a year, and they project to increase that to 3.7 million for the same period. Ferdinand Omondi, KTN, Mombasa.
Interesting things ahead, but just before we move on, just a slight clarification is that we reported earlier on the Standard Group was having its 69th AGM. It is actually 96, seeing as we've been here since 1902, so it's 96th annual general meeting. Moving on, the Pan-African Airline has launched flight services in the country with 2 routes from Nairobi to Kisumu and Nairobi to Mombasa, operating under the trade name Fly Sky Aero. The firm will have 8 flights to and from Kisumu and 9 flights to Mombasa every week, with all flights costing at a flat rate of 5,000 bob. Pan-African Airline has been operating chartered flights in Africa since the year 2005, but has decided to venture into local markets to provide competitively services at lower cost. And the move comes barely 2 months after the Kenya Airways launched the low-cost jumbo jet that targets middle and low earners.
Well, it's time to wind up this edition of KTN Newsdesk. I'm laughing because Bonnie Tunya is really enjoying that jingle. He was actually dancing to it.
There's no proof of that.
Well, it's now time for a Did You Know fact. Did you know there are farmers in Kenya who are being very innovative. They're using elephants' natural fears of bees and building beehive fences. So what they do, they build a fence around their home and then they have beehives scattered all around it. And this keeps the wild elephants from trampling on the crops, and it keeps the farm safe, and it also prevents farmers from killing elephants to defend their livelihoods. How clever is that?
Very innovative.
Very innovative indeed. That's your Did You Know fact of the day. I'm sure it's going to assist you somewhere.
That's useful.
That's useful.
For once.
Yeah. Have a brilliant weekend ahead. Make sure to join Betty Kialo on Friday briefing this evening. From me, Edith Kimani, it's until Monday, God willing.
Right, and my name is Bonnie Tunya. Have a great afternoon. I will see you again for business.
Tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Chinese proverb. Experience adrenaline-filled thrill at the whitewater rafting camp Sagana, situated within a spectacular scenery full of rich bird life. Enjoy kayaking, rafting, diving, or plunging into a 40-foot waterfall into the water.